Today we are going to be going over the next 20 problems that are on your review sheet. Remember, if you understand this review sheet, you will do a great job on your final next week. First one we're going to go over is how to solve a proportion using cross products. Who would like to do the first one for me? Isabel, how do I do this?
You multiply 5 times 7 and 35 times C.
Okay, very good job. We are multiplying across. Drop down that equals sign. We're going to do 5 times 7 and 35 times C. Then what?
You multiply 5 times 7, which is 35.
Okay, 5 times 7 is 35. And how do I get that C by itself?
You divide by 35 on both sides.
You are correct. We want to get rid of multiply by 35, so we will divide by 35 on both sides. This cancels out, and what are we left with?
1.
C equals 1. Okay, now just remember, if I was to take this and plug it in up top, I would get 1/7, which is the same thing as 5/35 reduced. Okay? Great job, Isabel. Help me out with the next one, Jakari.
7 and 10 are.
Good job. We drop down the equal sign, and we are going to multiply the 7 times 10 and the 10 times R. Good job. 70 is the same thing as 7 times 10. And how do I get that R by itself?
Cancel it out.
But how do I get rid of that 10? You are going to divide by 10 on both sides. Okay, once again, we do know 10 divided by 10 equals 1, so that can cancel out. And what is 70 divided by 10? 7 is correct. Okay, and once again, you could take this and plug it in up there. What is 7 over 7 reduced? 1. And then what is 10 over 10 reduced?
1.
Also 1. And 1 does equal 1, so you know that it did check out. For the next problem, it gives us a story problem. It says there are 180 calories in 30 grams of walnuts. How many calories are there in a 100 gram serving of walnuts? It asks us to write a proportion. Do you guys remember what a proportion is?
Yeah.
It's two fractions that equal each other, okay? So we're trying to come up with two fractions that equal each other. What's the first fraction I should do, Emma?
Over 6 grams.
You are correct. 180 calories over 30 grams. Now, if I want it to be equal to another one, then we already know the calories are going to be on top, and what will be on bottom? The grams, okay? And it says up here we know that we have 100 grams. Does it tell me how many calories? No. Notice the question, it says how many calories. So we know that our calories is something we don't know yet. So what should we put there? X, okay? Because we're trying to find it. Now, who can share with me how you figured out what your answer should be? Kyla, what'd you get?
I did 180 times 100 equals 30x.
Okay, so what she did was she chose to do cross products, all right? So 180 times 100 equals 30x. Then what?
And then I multiplied 180 times 100 and I got 18,000.
Okay, so 18,000 equals 30x. Now how do I get x by itself?
You divide 30. You divide it by 30 on both sides.
Good job. You divide by 30 on both sides. We know on this side we've got 30x over 30. Those two can cancel out, so I'm left just with x equals what?
600 calories.
600 calories. Thank you for telling me what units that equaled also. Okay, so if you go back to the question, it says how many calories. That helps you to know your answer needs to come out in calories. Number 24 says it takes 4 quarts of paint to cover 560 square feet. How many quarts of the same paint are needed to cover 140 square feet? Once again, it tells us to write a proportion. So, Carlos, what would you do?
4 over 500.
4 what?
4 quarts over 500 square feet, 60 square feet.
Okay. Now, you want to write it as a proportion, so it's going to equal something over here. Remember, quarts still have to be on top, and square feet still has to be on top. What else do we know? Okay, 140 is going to go on the bottom because that's where the square feet are. And now we are looking for how many quarts it would be, so we're just going to do an X. Carlos, how did you find this answer? All right, if we do cross products, we are going to multiply across just like this. Remember, drop that equal sign down. You can see 4 times 140 equals 560 times x. What do I do next, Carlos? Okay, 4 times 140 is 560 equals 560x. Then what? Okay, we're going to divide both sides by 560. We know that 560 over 560 equals 1. So on that side, I'm left with just plain old x equals what? 1 what? 1 quart is correct. Once again, go back to your original question where it says how many quarts of the same paint are needed to cover 140 square feet. So that would be the correct answer. You are correct as far as you do not have to do it this way. This was with cross products, but some people might do it different. So JD, tell me, what method did you use?
I don't know what it's called. I just did it like...
Okay, explain to me how you did it.
So I just took 560 and divided by 4 and...
Okay, so you were trying to figure out how to get from here to there, and in order to do that, you did divide by 4. Then what?
And then it equaled 140, so I was like, well, if it takes 4 of those...
Okay, basically because you divided by 4 on the bottom, you also have to divide by 4 on the top. So 4 divided by 4 equals what? 1. So very simply, that way does actually seem a little more simple to find that the answer is 1 quart. That's doing it with equivalent ratios. The other one was doing it with cross products. And once again, on your final, I do not care how you come up with the correct answer. This one asks us to write the percent as a fraction in simplest form. Shikari, what should I do? Very good. 88 over 100. Anything else? You are correct. It will simplify to 22 over 25. Fantastic. Michael Nix, next one. 62%. Let's turn that into a fraction. Okay, 62% is the same thing as 62 over 100. And what do you get? 31 over 50 is simplified. Raise your hand if you got both of those correct. If you did not, make sure you are erasing it and fixing it on your worksheet so that when you turn it in with your final next week, you can get the correct answer. Next up, write the fraction as a percent and round the percent to the nearest tenth if necessary. Asia, what is 5/22 as a percent? Okay, when you put this into your calculator, what pops out? What is 5 over 22? Okay, so it looks like this, 0.2, and then just the 27 repeats. So it would keep going 27, 27, 27, all right? Now, what do I need to do with that decimal point? Move it over 2 times, okay? And then, Asia, what do you get? That is correct, because you do have to make sure that you've rounded to the nearest tenth. Nice work. Gabby, next one, 8/25. When you put that into your calculator, what is 8/25? Okay, 0.32, and how do I turn that into a percent? Move it over 2 times, and what's your answer? 32% is correct. All right, that's a pretty simple one. How many of you would say you got both of those correct? Okay, once again, if you don't understand how to do this, please ask questions because I want to help you. Let's go on to the next one. Kyla, write the percent as a decimal. What should I do with it?
You have to move it over 2 times to the left.
Move the decimal 2 times to the left.
And then put zeros in the spaces.
Put the zeros in the spaces.
And then it'll be 0.009.
0.009 is correct. JD, let's do the next one. 327%. Where is the decimal on that right now? It is behind the 7. What should I do with it? Good job. And what's your answer? 3.27 is correct. Okay, good job on that. These are both pretty simple concepts. Okay, let's go to the next one. Use a proportion to answer the following questions. Do you guys remember what a proportion is? What did I say it was? 2 fractions that equal each other. What is the one that we have talked about that we know for this kind of a problem? Is over of equals P over 100. The easiest one to find is the percent. Do you see in this right here anything that's a percent? Yes. What is it? Okay, so we know 54% is going to get plugged in here. So do I need to keep it as 54% over 100? No, we're going to get rid of that percent sign. Why? Because 54 over 100 means 54%. Okay? Equals, do I know my is? No, look, this is what it says. What number is? That means I don't know it. Do I know my of?
Yes.
Yes, what is it? Okay, look right here. It says of 75. So, because I don't know my is, we're just going to say that it equals x. I do know my of, so I'm going to plug in 75. What way did you guys do to solve this? Cross products, all right? That is probably what I would have also done. So, Asia, help me out. What should I do?
75 times 54 equals x times 100. And then 75 times 54 is 4,050. And bring it down.
Okay, 4,050 equals 100x. Then what?
And you divide by 100 on both sides.
Divide by 100 on both sides.
And you get 40.5.
Okay, x equals 40.5. Now, let's just go back to our original question to see if that's what we're looking for. It says, what number is 54% of 75? Is that a number? Yes, it is. Therefore, you know you have done it correctly, and the answer is 40.5. Okay, next one. Once again, it says use a proportion. So we're going to start off with is over of equals p over 100. Easiest one to do is find the percent. Does it tell me what the percent is? No, it doesn't. So I'm going to leave that p over 100. Does it tell me my is?
Yes.
12. Look, it says right here, is 12. Does it tell me my of?
Yes.
What is it?
40.
Okay, of 40. Now, Carlos, what did you do?
So
Okay, you used cross products. Okay, then what?
and it equals 1,200.
Okay, now how do I get that p by itself?
Dividing it by 40.
Divide both sides by 40.
And then
Okay, now when I go back and it says what percent of 40 is 12, I know my answer is 30%. Remember, you must make sure you also have the units correct on your final, okay? How many of you found that on your own using a proportion before today? All right, how many of you at least switched it and got it correct this time? Excellent. All right, let's go on to the next one. Use the percent equation to answer the following questions. This is the same exact kind of questions. It's just a different way that we can do it. All right? So, Emma, do you remember what the percent equation is?
P times of equals is.
Excellent. P times of equals is. JD, do I know my percent? I do not, so I'm just going to keep the P. Kyla, do I know my of?
Yes.
What is it? Good job. It says of 30 equals, Gabby, do I know my is?
9.
Is 9. Okay, so you just plug those things in. Guys, how do I get P by itself? Divide by what?
30.
Divide by 30. We're trying to get rid of that times 30, so we're going to divide by 30 on both sides. When you have P times 30 divided by 30, this cancels out. It turns into a 1, and you're just left with P equals, what is 9 over 30? 0.3, okay? Now as I go back and I see it asks me what percent of 30 is 9, what do I have to do to my 0.3?
Move it to the right.
Good job. We want to change that to a percent, and what's my final answer?
30%.
30% is correct. Okay, just always go back and double check what it's asking you and make sure that you actually get the correct units in there. Okay, so when using the percent equation for number 34, we're going to start with P times of equals is.
And then it'll be P times 70 equals 0.50.
Okay, so look, you say P times 70 equals 0.50. I just want us to go through and double check real quick. This says what number is, and the next one says 50%, and the next one says of 70. So did you plug in everything correctly for that one? Notice your P is your percent. Do we know our percent?
No, yes.
Yes, we do. So some of those numbers got a little mixed up. So let's go back through real quick and just double check.
So it'll be 50 or 0.50.
Okay, we want to change the percent to a decimal, 0.50 or 0.5.
Times 70.
Okay,
Equals is.
good job. What is 0.5 times 70, or half of 70? 35. Okay, then once again, go back through and just double check. It says what number is 50% of 70? 35. Now, if you use your common sense, you also could probably figure out what number is 50%. That means half of 70, and 35 is half of 70. All right, next up, Carlos wants to do it for us. What is the percent of change formula? He doesn't remember it. Guys, if you know it, tell me what it is. P equals
Change over original.
the amount of change over the original amount. Everybody read me that, because this is something you've got to have memorized. What is the percent of change formula? P equals AOC over the original. What does AOC stand for? The amount of change. Okay, so we are going to use that formula here in just a couple minutes. Let's look at this. Another one that you just have to have memorized. What is the percent equation?
P times of equals is.
All right, we just used that in some of our problems. P times of equals is. Find the percent of change and tell whether it's an increase or a decrease. Let's figure out if it's an increase or a decrease just from the start. If we know originally I went out and bought something for $175, and now the new price is $70. Did the price increase or decrease?
Decrease.
Thank you, all one of you. It decreased. How can you tell? Because 70 is less than 175. Okay, so let's all start with what is the formula for the amount of change? Everybody together. Okay, we're going to keep saying it until you all say it. Say it again.
P equals AOC over original.
Fantastic. Make sure you're staying engaged. Okay, Jakari, help me out. How do I find what the amount of change is? If you look at it, you can see it was $175 and now it's only $70. I've got to figure out what the difference is between those two numbers. You're going to subtract it, okay? Because we had originally $175 minus $70. Now, Jakari, what was the original price? Over $175. Okay, class, what is 175 minus 70? $105 over, still keep the original, over $175. When you put this into your calculator, it's going to give you a decimal. What decimal comes out? 0.6. Now, once again, look again. It says find the percent of change. How do I change that?
Move it over 2 times.
Okay, so what's the answer?
60%.
60%. And remember, once again, it's a 60% decrease because it went down in price. Many of you guys got it correct. So excellent job. Let's go ahead and start off. We're going to go over it here in just a minute. I'll show you if you got it right or not, okay? All right, guys, what is the formula I need for amount of change?
P equals AOC over original.
P equals the amount of change over the original. JD, how much did it change? How do I figure that out?
70 over 40.
Not 70 over 40. In order to figure out something was 40 and now it's 70, how much did it increase?
Oh, about 30.
By 30, okay? So you just take the big number and subtract the smaller number. Then, what was the original amount?
40.
40. Okay, so we know 70 minus 40 is 30 over 40. That reduced is 3/4, which is 0.75. What is that as a percent?
75%.
Now, listen. It was 40. It moved to 70. Did it increase or decrease?
Increase.
That is an increase. Next up, this is like a real life scenario, okay? You go to the store and you could see something was $35. Now it's a markup of 25%. Are we happy about markups or sad?
Yes, very, very sad.
We are sad about them. Yes, because you have to pay more money. How do I find what my markup is?
You
.25
You
times
add
35. You don't turn it into a decimal.
Turn this into a decimal. All right, so we do want to change that to a decimal and multiply it by what the original wholesale price was. What is that answer?
8.75.
Give it to me as dollars. $8.75. Now, this is what I see from many of you. You say, hooray, I got the answer. Is that correct? What is that you found? That's the markup, okay? Now what do I have to do?
35 plus 8.
Take the original price and add the markup, and what's your final answer? What is it? Double check it. What is it?
Oh, it's $43.75.
$43.75.
Yes, sir.
Okay? I want you guys to do the next one on your own. As many of you guys just did this, you made a simple mistake. Let's talk this through. If you have an original price and then you get a discount, what happens to the price? It goes down. Tons of you were thinking of the markup and you added it to it. So let's just go through it. We changed that discount, 0.1, and then we're going to go ahead and multiply it times the original amount, which many of you guys figured out that was $3.20. However, you neglected to see that that is the discount. Now what should I do?
Minus it from 32.
You take your original price and you subtract what the discount is because you're getting a better price. And what is the answer? $28.80 is correct. Okay? Listen, study these problems. Go over them at home, please. And I promise you will do a great job on your final next week.